Good morning, everyone. My name is Angelina Best, and this is my presentation on supporting communication and language development. For some contents, this will be what we're going through everywhere from introduction to interactive storytelling to my conclusion and references. For a slight little introduction, the age group I will be focusing on will be toddlers, 16 to 36 months, and this presentation will go over how we as educators can support children's communication and language development while also giving pointers through real world experience and navigating how to make a larger impact on children in the future. My main ELOF domain is language and literacy with aspects from approaches to learning. All right, so to start out, ELOF connection, attending and understanding, the child attends to, understands, and responds to communication and language from others. Child learns through communication and language experiences with others. So these are basically focusing on people talking to the child and the child being able to comprehend what is happening, what is being said, and making connections from the words to what is being spoken about. On the other hand, communicating and speaking, child communicates needs and wants non-verbally and by using language. Child uses increasingly complex language in conversations with others. So this is focusing more on how the child speaks and talks about what has been retained in the past. So focusing more on what the child exactly says. Moving on to vocabulary, child understands an increasing number of words used in communication with others. Child uses an increasing number of words in communication and conversation with others. So understands and uses, it is very different but very similar aspects of vocabulary. They have to be able to listen to words, understand what is being said to them, while also turning around and using these same words with their peers moving forward. Moving on to emergent literacy, child attends to, repeats, and uses some rhymes, phrases, or refrains from songs or stories. And the child recognizes pictures and some symbols or signs. So this is focusing less on the interactive talking and more on taking actions and pictures and things that they see with their eyes and converting them into words. And all of these are direct quotes from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. How are children similar in their language development and how do they differ? So similarities, body language often becomes before actual words. So this is more in the infant stage, but does kind of roll over to the toddler stage where they are going to use pointing and body language before they use actual vocabulary. Statistical learning is very important. This is how the child detects patterns and continues to notice them while also incorporating them into their daily life, while also being dependent on social interaction. So this one, every single child is dependent on the people around them to learn vocabulary. This isn't something that they can learn on their own. They don't have Rosetta Stone, but so this is something that every child is impacted by. Moving on to differences, building off of that dependent on social interaction, as important as it is for all children, it does depend on the environment. So if the parents or the teacher or the peers are talking to them more, interacting with them more, they are going to develop a little bit quicker than the kids who don't get that. As well as experiences and stimulation, the children that go outside, the children that have more active toys, they are going to be able to place words with actions a little bit sooner just because they experience those actions firsthand. And then last but not least, learning happens at different rates for everyone. So even if a child is put into the exact same situation as another, one of them might begin using full sentences around 2 years old, whereas the other one might not until 3, and that's okay. Everybody develops at different levels. How might the child's individual context influence their language development? So first and foremost, vocabulary they are surrounded by. If a child is surrounded by people who use bigger words, they are going to develop the use of those bigger words a little bit earlier than the kids who are not they're not introduced to these quite yet. Socioeconomic status, so what the parents bring around the house, what they talk about around the house, what schools they go to, all make very big impacts. There is going to be a difference in a student in a high-earning public school rather than there is going to be a difference for students in a high-earning private school than there is in a low-budget public school. Interactive communication. So this is when the parents talk in front of the kids. This is when the parents talk to the kids. This is when the children kind of get a sense of what words mean just by communication in general. And time put into teaching by adults around them. So the more time that is implemented into the child learning new words is the quicker the child is going to learn them at the end of the day. Conversations during play. So the four main actions during this is child actively plays, narration of actions, deepening understanding, future use of words. For child actively plays, the goal is child learns from communication and language experiences with others. This is important because it is allowing a child to play as they please, creates a sense of personal interest. In narration of actions, the goal is child makes marks and uses them to represent objects or actions. This is important because talking about what is physically happening helps put actions to words. Deepening understanding, the goal is child understands an increasing number of words used in communication with others. This is important because seeing what is happening and connecting the words to the meaning. Future use of new words. The goal is child uses increasingly complex language in conversation with others, and this is important because they will continue to use the vocabulary they learned while doing something they enjoyed. Interactive storytelling. 3 steps. Begin a story that interests the child. Ask questions. Act it out. For beginning a story, get a child's attention is important to create an engaged and interactive environment. Each student has different interests, so that is something to take into consideration. Asking questions. Asking direct questions allows for a sense of involvement rather than just listening. For example, you can use, "What do you think will happen next?" or "Why did the blocks fall," just for a few. And third, act it out. Creating a fun atmosphere will make the story more interesting and help connect meaning to words. For example, you can use puppets, pictures, or just physical body language does the trick as well. Moving forward, encouraging turn taking in discussions. 3 main steps are going to be listening, waiting, and responding. For listening, this improves comprehension and attention span. So being able to listen without interrupting. Waiting helps expand vocabulary by taking a minute to process what was said. And responding, build conversation skills, and practice the rhythm of active conversations. The ELOF goal that is tied into turn-taking discussions is uses words, signs, phrases, or simple sentences to initiate, continue, or extend conversations with others about feelings, experiences, or thoughts. All right, moving on to the course resources. The book More Than Baby Talk. The main idea is interactions that happen on a daily basis are extremely important for a child's language development. For example, this is being intentional, being a role model, shaping an intentional environment around the student. My personal future approach after reading this is I will make sure to incorporate higher levels of vocabulary and put extra effort into starting and holding conversations with students, just so they get some experience with these different words. This one was one of my perfect personal preferences. Word mapping. The main idea is creating a sense of understanding from the educator's point of view on how children will learn to understand and use words. For example, this can be labeling, eye gaze, and body language in clear context. My future approach will be I will make sure to establish a clear explanation when introducing a new word while also using physical cues. The picture on the right is not in the classroom, but it is me with my friend's 2-year-old son, and I am showing him a pre-runner by pointing and explaining what exactly is happening. And here is my conclusion and key points. Something I have struggled with in the past, but am learning to understand and appreciate is indirect teaching. So this is talking to children normally helps them learn new words while also allowing children to play amongst each other and build off of one another. Something I am a little bit more familiar with is direct teaching. This is making it clear what is being talked about is important for the child's understanding and connecting words to physical actions or objects. Future teaching practices I will be incorporating are be more open and understanding of the child's learning from their peers, understand that a single approach does not work for all students, and creating more learning opportunities for all students. So this is going to be more of an individual approach with each student and understanding what works best for them. And moving on to how the ELOF domains tied into this whole presentation. Progression goals help make sure a child stays on track with their development, and celebrating what seems like a small win to us, but a big step to the child is extremely important for interest in continuing education. These are my references. Thank you guys so much for watching my presentation, and I hope you have a fantastic day.